I think Port Charles is standing on the edge of something much darker than a simple missing person mystery, and I feel like Ethan's return is not random at all. Because, in my opinion, the most dangerous thing happening right now is not Sidwell's power, not Sonny's suspicion, not Carly's anger. It is the possibility that Jason Morgan has not just been taken. I think Jason may have been used, and I could be wrong, but from my perspective, Ethan may have walked back into Port Charles wearing that careless smile, acting like he is only chasing money, when underneath all of it, he is carrying the one mission nobody else can touch. Jason, that is the part I cannot stop thinking about. I feel like Ethan's return looks too convenient on the surface. He comes back with that reckless Spencer energy, that I can handle anything if the price is right attitude, and suddenly Sonny is looking at him like maybe Ethan could be useful against Sidwell. But I think that is exactly the mask Ethan wants everyone to see. In my opinion, Ethan is not just back to make trouble. I think Ethan is back because someone sent him into the shadows. Maybe Anna, maybe Holly, maybe both. And this is just my interpretation, but I feel like Ethan is the perfect choice because he is not WSB in the clean, obvious, traceable way. He is not Sonny's usual muscle. He is not Carly storming through the front door, demanding answers. Ethan lives in the gray space. He lies when he needs to. He gambles when he has no better option. He walks into danger like it owes him money. That is why I think he can reach places Jason's own people cannot. Right now, the surface story feels simple. Jason is believed to be held by the WSB in Jakarta. Port Charles is waiting for answers. Sonny is suspicious. Carly is emotional. Elizabeth is caught in that awful space between fear and hope. And Ethan, out of nowhere, becomes a possible weapon against Sidwell. But I do not think the Jakarta story is the real story. I think Jakarta is a curtain. I think Jason may have found something much bigger than a WSB problem. I feel like he may have uncovered a connection between Sidwell and someone inside the agency itself. And from my perspective, that changes everything. Because if Jason is being held because he committed some crime, that is one kind of story. But if Jason is being held because he knows too much, that is a completely different level of danger. In my opinion, Jason is not missing. I think Jason is evidence. That is what makes this so intense for me. Jason Morgan has always been treated like a weapon by other people. Sonny trusts him. Carly depends on him. His enemies fear him. But I feel like this story could flip that completely. Jason is not the weapon this time. Jason is the loose end. And Sidwell, in my opinion, does not want a loose end breathing. Then there is Elizabeth. I think Elizabeth receiving that strange message could be the emotional spark that pulls this whole mystery into the family side of the story. A short message. Just a few words. Tell Jake. Follow the old card trick. I feel like that kind of message would hit Elizabeth like ice water. At first, I think she would want to reject it. She would tell herself it is cruel. She would tell herself somebody is playing with Jason's loved ones. And honestly, I would understand that reaction. Because when someone you care about is missing, hope can feel almost more painful than grief. But Jake recognizing the clue, that is where I think the story becomes powerful. In my opinion, that phrase is not just a code, it is Jason's way of protecting his family without exposing them. It feels personal, it feels old. It feels like something only the right people would understand. And I could be wrong, but I think Ethan may already know that code matters before everyone else does. That brings me to Sonny. I feel like Sonny asking Ethan whether he can handle Sidwell is not just a business conversation. It is a test. Sonny is watching him. Sonny is listening to what Ethan does not say. And when Ethan does not ask for money first, that is the detail that would make Sonny pause. Because, in my opinion, if Ethan were really only there to profit from chaos, he would talk price, he would talk terms, he would talk risk. But instead, I think Ethan asks the one question that reveals the real mission. If Jason is alive, do you want me to bring him back? That line, to me, changes the entire room. I feel like Sonny would understand instantly that Ethan is playing a deeper game. Carly might not, Jocelyn might not. Port Charles might see Ethan as some opportunist trying to slide into Jason's empty space beside Sonny. But Sonny has survived too many betrayals to miss the difference between greed and sacrifice. And I think Ethan is sacrificing more than anyone realizes. From my perspective, Ethan's plan would have to be pure Spencer chaos. Not force, not a clean rescue, not a heroic charge into a WSB facility. I think Ethan would tell Sonny that Sonny's world is too direct, Carly is too emotional, Anna is too visible, but Ethan can lie his way into the room. I think the plan has 3 layers. First, Ethan pretends to work for Sonny, making Sidwell believe Sonny has hired a new kind of fixer. Second, Ethan lets Sidwell think he can be bought. Third, Ethan uses Sidwell's own network to trace where Jason really went after Jakarta. And I feel like that is the most Spencer part of all. Ethan does not break the trap. He lets the trap close around him, then steals the key from the man who set it. Sidwell may think Ethan can be controlled because of Holly. He may think fear is enough. He may think Ethan is emotional, reckless, damaged, and easy to corner. But in my opinion, that is exactly where Sidwell miscalculates. Because Ethan is Luke Spencer's son, and I think the more Ethan is cornered, the more dangerous he becomes. Now here is where I think the twist gets huge. I do not think Jason is still in Jakarta. I think the black site in Jakarta is bait, a false trail. A story designed to keep Sonny, Carly, Anna, and everyone else chasing a locked door after Jason has already been moved. In my opinion, Jason may be on a medical cargo ship hidden in plain sight, being transported as part of some exchange between Sidwell and corrupt WSB players. I feel like Sidwell would not keep Jason in one location for long if Jason had proof that could destroy him. He would move him, isolate him, injure him just enough to keep him weak, but alive enough to trade. That is brutal, and I think it fits. The detail I love most in this theory is Luke's old watch. I feel like Holly sending Ethan that watch would look sentimental at first, almost like a family object, something tied to memory. But then Ethan notices the shipping code hidden in it, and suddenly Luke is part of the mission without even being there. In my opinion, that would be beautiful storytelling, because Ethan would not just be using Sonny's resources. He would be using Luke's old smuggling routes, Luke's contacts, Luke's instinct for impossible exits. It seems to me that this is how Ethan stops being the son who drops into Port Charles for trouble and becomes something much more dangerous. He becomes the only person who can save Jason in a way Jason would never expect. I can picture Ethan boarding that ship under a false identity, maybe posing as an arms broker, maybe acting like he wants a seat at Sidwell's table. I think he would be smiling too much, talking too easily, making everyone underestimate him. Then he finds Jason. Not dead, not broken, but hurt, isolated, watching everything. And I think Jason would not trust him right away. Of course he would not. Jason trusts actions, not charm. Ethan walks in with a con man's face and a Spencer name, and Jason's first instinct would be suspicion. I can almost hear Jason's voice, cold and flat. Sonny sent you? And Ethan, bleeding confidence and fear at the same time, says, "No. If Sonny sent me, this place would already be burning. I came because of my mother, because of Anna, and because my father used to say, you don't leave family in the dark." I think that would be the moment Jason realizes Ethan is not lying. But even then, I do not think Jason simply leaves, because Jason is Jason. In my opinion, Jason would refuse to escape unless they take the proof with them. There is a data drive on that ship. Something that connects Sidwell to compromised WSB people. Something that shows Jason was framed, hidden, or sacrificed because he saw too much. Ethan would want to get Jason out first. Jason would want the evidence first. And I feel like that clash would be incredible. Jason is discipline. Ethan is improvisation. Jason is silence. Ethan is misdirection. Jason survives by control. Ethan survives by turning chaos into a weapon. I think that contrast could make them one of the most unexpectedly compelling temporary pairings on the show. But while Ethan is risking his life to save Jason, I think Sidwell plays the nastiest card possible. He sends word back to Port Charles that Ethan betrayed Sonny. And I feel like that lie would work. Carly would believe it because she is terrified. Jocelyn would believe it because she is protective. Elizabeth might hesitate, but even she would wonder. And Sonny, in my opinion, would have to stay silent. Because defending Ethan too quickly could expose the mission. That is the painful part. I think Ethan would become the villain in everyone's eyes, while secretly doing the one thing they all want most. Saving Jason. And honestly, I love that as a character turn. I feel like Ethan carrying the weight of being hated would mirror Jason in a strange way. Jason has taken blame before. Jason has let people misunderstand him to protect them. Now Ethan may have to do the same. This is where my controversial opinion comes in. I think Ethan may be more useful than Sonny's entire organization in this specific mission. I know that sounds harsh. I know some fans may hate that. I could be wrong. But from my perspective, Sonny's power is loud. Carly's love is loud. Even Anna's authority can become too visible. Ethan's gift is that he can disappear into the lie. He can be underestimated. He can be dismissed as selfish until it is too late. And in a story about spies, black sites, Sidwell, WSB corruption, and hidden evidence, I think the liar may be more valuable than the soldier. That does not mean Ethan replaces Jason. In my opinion, that is the whole point. Sonny's not using Ethan instead of Jason. I think Sonny is using Ethan to bring Jason home. And that difference matters. Now, I feel like the ending of this phase almost writes itself emotionally. Ethan gets Jason off the ship, but Jason is badly hurt. Too hurt to return to Port Charles safely. So Ethan hides him in a safe house connected to Luke, somewhere overseas, somewhere off the map. Jason has the data drive. Jason knows the truth, but Jason also knows they cannot reveal him too soon. So Jason tells Ethan to go back alone. Pretend the mission failed. Let Sidwell believe he won. Let Port Charles believe the worst. And I think Ethan would hate that. I think for once he would not want the lie, but Jason would force it, because Jason understands strategy better than anyone. Then Ethan returns to Port Charles alone. Carly sees him, and I feel like the slap would come before the words. Where is Jason? Ethan looks at Sonny. Sonny says nothing. The whole room waits. And Ethan lies. I got there too late. That would destroy Carly. It would enrage Jocelyn. It would make Elizabeth question every tiny piece of hope she had left. And Sonny would stand there, silent, because he knows the lie is keeping Jason alive. Then, in the final shot, I think the camera cuts far away from Port Charles. A safe house, dim light. Jason opens his eyes. He is alive. He is wounded. And in his hand, he is holding the drive that could bring Sidwell down. That is a kind of ending I think would make the whole summer explode. Because after that, Ethan becomes the most misunderstood man in Port Charles. Jason becomes the secret everyone is fighting over. Sidwell becomes more dangerous because he thinks he has already won. And Sonny has to carry the truth without being able to say it. From my perspective, this could push Ethan into a completely new position. He would not just be Luke's son anymore. He would not just be Holly's reckless boy. He would become a wild card in the world of Sonny, WSB Secrets, and Spencer Legacy. And when Jason finally returns, I think the emotional payoff could be massive. Jason could expose Sidwell. Jason could clear Ethan. Jason could reveal that the man everyone hated was the man who saved his life. That is the story I want to see. I could be wrong. This is just my interpretation. But I feel like General Hospital has all the pieces on the board for a rescue story that is not just about bringing Jason home, but about turning Ethan into one of the most dangerous players in Port Charles. So now I want to know what you think. Do you think Ethan is really working his own angle, or do you think he is secretly trying to save Jason? Would Carly believe him if he told the truth? And, in your opinion, is Sidwell underestimating Ethan because he sees the con man, but not the Spencer underneath? Drop your theory, because I think this story could get darker before Jason ever steps back into Port Charles.